Hi, this is Nicole Woodard with eXp Realty. Yesterday, I was asked to put together an email for a prospective buyer that I visited with on the phone for about 30 minutes to really describe how I work. And I thought, everything else in my business is completely systematized. Now, it's all customized because no two transactions are alike, but I've been doing this for over 26 years and there is a system. And I've documented it and it's intact. And so I thought, it's time to add to my systems a how I work for buyer video. So here you go. So thank you for that inspiration. So here we are, a couple of things. One is whenever I visit with someone on the phone, the first thing I want to do is establish that I'm going to be your primary resource for information, for data, for analysis, for opinion, for processes, for contacts, for all kinds of stuff. So I position myself hopefully to be your primary point of contact for anything you need in the process of buying your new home in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Certainly if you're buying locally, and we'll talk a little bit about that, that's a little bit of a different story, but I do enjoy very much being a resource for you, not just during the transaction, but certainly after the transaction as well, after you become a homeowner in our area and you enjoy all of the benefits that comes from that. So I will stay in touch with you, continue to bring value to you with monthly market updates and with reminders after the first of the year. If this is for the first year you purchased your home, that don't forget to send your homestead exemption. I'll send you a copy of your closing disclosure so you'll have it handy for your taxes. All kinds of fun stuff, especially that first year. And then from then on, every year you'll receive an annual CMA along with all kinds of other goodies and hopefully the opportunity to stay connected, because once we go through this process together, we're going to spend a fair amount of time with each other, and we become friends, right? Like I like you, I will like you. If I don't already, I will, and hopefully you'll feel the same about me. And in some ways, we become part of each other's families. So that's very much what I enjoy about having been in real estate as long as I have. So let's talk about some logistics. So I'm a big data girl. So if you haven't already gotten an email from me with lots of data, you're going to get that. It's very important to me that you know what to expect, not just about the dynamics of the market that you are buying in, but also about the process to buy the house that you ultimately are going to buy in. So you'll hear me say this repeatedly. There is never any pressure on you to buy a house, not to buy a house, not to buy any house. Zero pressure. If you do not like the house that I show you, despite seeing it online, saying for sure this is it, driving on the outside, but you just walk in and go, ooh, or it stinks or whatever, never, ever, ever is there pressure for you to buy a house. Now, I'm recording this in the summer of 2021, where our market is crazy and it's very much a seller's market. There's never, ever any pressure. There may very well be, and there certainly is right now, urgency. If you like a property, if you like a house you're standing in, now is the time to act. Now is the time to make an offer. Do not delay. Do not pass go, collect $200, the whole bit. It's time to act now. And fortunately, I have a process, I have a system that is very speedy to get your offer presented and considered by the seller of the home that you're interested in. So again, no pressure at all, but absolute urgency. Unfortunately, this is not the type of market where you can see a few homes, think about it for a couple of days, come back, revisit your top favorite 2 or 3. And don't get me wrong, I've seen markets like that. I've bought and sold in markets like that. This currently is not that type of market. It is the kind of market where if you see it, you have to pursue it, and I can help. Okay, so again, no pressure, absolute urgency. All right, let's talk about the systems in place. So one of the things you'll discover, there's a system as we get started, and part of that, if you're relocating to the area, it can be absolutely overwhelming. In fact, if you're living locally, just fast forward for a little bit, because I'm going to talk a little bit about the relocation process. But the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is huge. I think it's the top 4 metro areas in the entire country now, all put together, which is crazy. As a result, there's a tremendous number of options. Even though there aren't a lot of homes individually on the market today, there are a lot of different communities within our Metroplex. I don't presume to know what's going to resonate with you. Some people just, naturally feel more comfortable in other environments. So my job is not to select the home for you. My job is to help you get the home you select. And there are a lot of different ways we can get you that information. So as you're planning your trip to the area, one of the things we're going to want to accomplish is to establish some parameters about what your dream home looks like. We're going to talk about the size, the age, what you want to do in your home. Do you need multiple guest suites? Do you need multiple home offices? Do you need space for a hobby or a love? Do you need a craft room? Do you need a painting studio? Do you need a sport court for your children? Do you want a swimming pool because it is so hot here in the summertime? Do you need an outdoor kitchen? Do you need a huge great room because you entertain on a regular basis? And et cetera, et cetera. Everyone has a different set of needs. So one of the first set of questions I'm going to ask you is to help identify what your wish list is. Then we're also going to talk about your budget. Now, your budget can be determined by you, by what you want to spend out of pocket up front and certainly over time. A lot of different things go into that monthly payment, so I'll be educating you on that every step of the way. The tax rates vary by community, and so as a result, sometimes we like to compare and contrast in that regard. We'll talk about, so your budget could either be what you decide that you're willing to write a check for, either up front, how much mortgage you're going to finance. We'll get the help of some awesome lenders to help walk you through that, people that I know will not only be competitive with you with their rate and their terms, but also will help me get your offer selected in a multiple offer situation. So that will certainly be part of your preparation process as you're identifying your target budget. In this current market today, let's just say you're looking up to $1 million. We probably want to cap our search at about 900, maybe 950, because in this market, most sellers aren't coming down from list price. Most sellers are getting list price or greater, even in these higher price ranges. So we'll talk a little bit about just how much flexibility you do have in your budget. And depending upon that, we're going to cap your search at a certain price. And then we're going to want to also identify communities. What's important to you? Is access to a particular place of employment or a place of worship or a hobby? Are you a golfer? Do you want to be close to a lake? What all those different scenarios that you are interested in. And then we'll actually go through the process of physically visiting these areas and looking to see, okay, on any given day with this budget, here's what your budget will buy in these individual communities. Really give you a nice overview of all the different areas that you may choose from with your budget. Very likely that process, you're going to resonate with some communities, you're going to eliminate other communities. Other folks find that, you know what, they're all the same. Let's get the best house we can for the money. And so I can help with that too. But we go through the process, really it is a process of elimination. Now, as far as sources of homes, keep in mind MLS, which actually feeds out to all the different search sites, is your number one source. That's something I'm going to connect you with by way of a portal so that you can see that data real time. Some of those other sites certainly give you great data right there for you to review as far as like school ratings and things like that. Do not believe Zestimates. There's a whole chapter on that, but just to kind of give you an idea of different parts and pieces of that data, but it's really difficult to find on those sites exactly what the status of the property currently is. It's not unusual, for example, once a house goes under contract, technically in Texas, it's called active option. So it may look like it's active, but it's really under an option. And oh, by the way, the option belongs to the buyer, not the seller. So for all intents and purposes, it's under contract. The other thing is it may actually still show active, but lo and behold, there was an offer deadline last night where they had the 27 offers come in. And as it turns out, it may or may not be available today. So as we get ready to start doing our actual showing tours or video tours, then I will double check with the agent that A, it's still available, B, if there's an offer deadline, what that offer deadline is, and then also while I'm engaging with them, find out if you do happen to like the property and do want to pursue it, is there anything in particular that seller is looking for that can help position your offer to be the best offer when it's time for them to decide. Now, I mentioned physical, I mentioned video. There's a lot of different ways we can do this. I've had folks come to town. It's absolutely imperative at some point that you physically put feet on the streets and you see it and you drive it and you feel it. Now, there's a lot you can do from a distance by way of research on houses and taxes and schools and all those things like that. But and once you've had your trip here, I kind of talk about, I have this weird talent of morphing into the people that I'm showing houses to. And what's really been fascinating to me anyway, and I'll share with you, is I can show the same house to 3 different buyers, let's say, not typical, but I could, and see 3 different properties. And for example, I had one set of folks who there was a particular placement of the master bedroom that was unacceptable. So I would walk into a house on their behalf, and the first thing I'd look for is, where's the master bedroom? And as long as it was where it was supposed to be, check, keep moving. So in my mind, either that house did or didn't work. And then the next person that wanted to see it, it was like, well, that house is, weird, whatever. Anyway, that house may be the perfect house for them. So anyway, the point is, until I have physically seen houses with you, it's impossible for me to make any decisions on your behalf. And of course, I would never project my own opinion of a house onto you. So if you were to say to me, what do you think about this? My response to that would be, what do you think about that? Because it doesn't matter what I think about it. Now, I will absolutely weigh in on things that I think are important for you to know should you pick this home. That might be a consideration when you get ready to sell it. Now, of course, I'm making the assumption that we're building a relationship, you find value in the service I provide, and when you get ready to sell, whether it's 3, 5, 7, 20 years from now, you're gonna call me to help you sell it. And as a result, I wanna make sure there's no surprises. So if you love a house that backs up to a busy road, I'm gonna help you get it. And you know what I'm gonna say to you during that process? By the way, be sure and note, there is a busy road behind this house. Today in this market, not relevant, not an issue, certainly does not impede its resaleability. But keep in mind, if you're selling in a less competitive market, that could be a deal breaker for some folks. We have big power lines in our area. Some people couldn't care less. Other people, deal breaker. Those are the main things that I find are important, but certainly repair or condition, or like solar panels. There's all kinds of random things on individual houses that may or may not matter to you, and they may not matter to your buyer, but it's my job, I think, to draw attention to that during the purchase process. So at least whatever it is, you go in eyes wide open. So that's my job, really, is to give you as much information as you can, as much information as I can give you, so that ultimately you can make an outstanding decision for you and your family. So that is part 1, and then I'll follow this up with the next steps.